the name in the letters. We were halfway through clearing out Grandma Elsie's house when I found the box. It was wedged deep in the back of her sewing room closet, behind old bolts of faded fabric, and a plastic bin full of broken buttons. I only noticed it because one of the fabric rolls fell and knocked the lid loose. It was just a shoebox, taped shut with brittle yellow masking tape, and it rattled faintly when I picked it up. Inside, letters. Dozens of them. Maybe more than 100. All handwritten. All addressed to the same person. Someone named Miles. No last name. Just Miles. I didn't recognize the name, and I'd never heard my grandmother mention it, but there was her handwriting on every envelope, her signature on every page. Some dated all the way back to the early 1960s. The first letter started simply, "Dear Miles, I'm still waiting. It's been 2 weeks and I haven't heard from you. I'm starting to wonder if something happened. Please let me know you're okay." I read the first 5 letters sitting on the floor, the box balanced on my knees. The tone shifted from gentle worry to something sharper, more desperate. By letter 10, she was begging him to come back, to answer, to show any sign he was still out there. My grandmother, the same woman who never remarried after Grandpa died, who volunteered at the church food pantry every Thursday and never missed a single birthday card, who taught me how to thread a needle and cook pot roast. She had written these aching, lonely letters to someone I had never even heard of. And then it got weirder. One letter, dated October 12th, 1989, ended with, "I saw a little boy at the park today. He had your eyes, your smile. I almost asked him his name, but I didn't want to scare his parents. If you ever did have a son, I hope you'd tell me. I hope you'd let me know if he was safe." That date is important, because I was born on October the 13th, 1989. It rattled me. Coincidence? Probably. But something in the tone of that letter, it made my chest tighten. I called my mom later that night, asked if she knew who Miles was. Silence, then a long sigh. "Just forget it," she said. "Your grandma was a complicated woman. Some things are better left alone." But of course, I didn't leave it alone. I stayed up late going through the letters. Some were written on old yellowed stationery, others on cheap lined notebook paper. There was one every year, sometimes 2 or 3. Never a return address, never a reply, but all of them ended the same way. "I'll keep looking. Love, Elsie." Then I found the last one. It wasn't sealed. It wasn't even folded, just sitting on top of the rest. The paper was crisp, like it had only just been written. But the date, scrawled in the corner, was the day before she collapsed in the kitchen and never woke up. "Dear Miles, this will be the last time I write. I can feel it. If you're still out there, if you ever were, please know that I forgive you. But I need to let go now. I have someone else to watch over. Someone who's just started to find his way. He doesn't know it yet, but he's special. I see it in him. Maybe that's you in him, or maybe it's just my old heart hoping. Either way, I'll keep him safe. With all my love, my full name, written in her handwriting." I stared at it for a long time. Not just the words, but the curve of each letter. The way she shaped the G in my name, the little loop at the end of the Y. That was her writing. Not forged, not copied, and definitely not a mistake. I never brought it up again with my family. The box is still with me, tucked in the back of my closet now. Some nights I think about burning the letters, but I never do because a part of me wonders, who is Miles, and why did she think he became me? The steps behind the house. It started with a rake. We just moved into the place a week ago. Quiet cul-de-sac, good schools, decent yard, and I was trying to clear out the overgrowth behind the house. It was one of those unclaimed strips between property lines, full of brambles and whatever the last owner couldn't be bothered to clean up. We bought the place from a foreclosure auction, so there wasn't anyone to ask about what might be back there. Then the rake clinked against something. At first, I thought it was a rock, but when I cleared the dirt away, I found the edge of a concrete step. Then another, and another, 7 in all, descending into nothing. The bottom led straight into soil, like someone had once started digging a basement and just gave up halfway. Weird, but not unheard of. I even laughed, called my wife over to look. She raised an eyebrow, said it gave her the creeps, and walked back inside without another word. I remember thinking she was being overly cautious, but something in her voice stuck with me. That night I couldn't sleep. Not because of the stairs, just moving stress, I guess. New house, old problems, leaky faucet, missing boxes, too much caffeine. Around 2 a.m., I got up for water. That's when I saw the shape out the back window. Someone was standing halfway down the buried staircase. They weren't moving, just standing there. I turned on the porch light. Nothing. When I went outside, there was no one. Just dew and the sound of crickets. I walked over to the staircase with a flashlight, half expecting to see a neighbor playing a prank. But there were no footprints. The dew was unbroken. I told myself it was a trick of the moonlight. Or maybe I was just exhausted. But the next night, it happened again. Same time. Same place. Only this time, the figure was 1 step lower. And I'm not proud to say it. But I didn't go outside. I just stood there frozen, counting the steps. I started checking the stairs every morning. The number kept changing. 7, then 6, then 5. By the 5th day, the steps had disappeared entirely, swallowed up by the earth, or maybe never there at all. The ground looked freshly turned, but there were no signs of disturbance. No smell, no holes, just a vague impression of something having been there and moved on. I would have thought I imagined the whole thing, if not for Scout. Our dog, a mutt with more curiosity than sense, started digging one morning exactly where the staircase had been. He was frantic, paws kicking up dirt with a purpose I didn't understand. Then he barked, once sharp and short, and stepped back. There was something metal in the ground. I pulled it out. An old wristwatch, caked in dirt but still ticking. Not a scratch on the face, even though it must have been buried for years. The leather band was cracked, but the hands moved smoothly. It belonged to the previous owner. He'd gone missing a year before we bought the house. Disappeared without a trace. No signs of foul play, no note, just vanished. We'd read the news article after closing. It was strange, but not strange enough to scare us off. We gave the watch to the police, they asked some questions, then said they'd look into it, but I could tell they weren't taking it seriously. Just another cold case with no leads. But here's the thing. 2 nights later, I saw a footprint in the grass. Just one. Right where the bottom of the stairs used to be. And the next morning, Scout wouldn't go near that part of the yard. He growled at empty air, then ran inside. I still check that spot every night. Not for stairs, for the next thing that might come out of the ground. Would you keep watching? Thursday calls. It started like this. Every Thursday night, around 9:47 p.m., my phone would ring. Just once a week. Just one ring. And always from an unknown number. The first time, I thought it was a scam. Maybe a spam call or a robocall that didn't kick in. I didn't answer. The second week, it happened again. Same number. Same exact time. The third Thursday, I picked up. Nothing. Just dead air. No breathing, no static, no hang-up click. Just pure, empty silence. It was almost worse than if someone had been there. I said hello twice and hung up. It kept happening. Every Thursday. Same time. Same number. I tried blocking it. Didn't work. It would come through anyway, like it was spoofing a new line each time. But with the same final digits, 4217. Always 4217. After the 5th week, I started recording them. I figured maybe I'd catch a weird background noise or some kind of interference. Maybe a clue. I use a third-party app, one of those voice recorders that runs while you talk. But there was never any voice. Nothing but silence. Until week 8. I played back the recording late that night while lying in bed. At first, it was just the same dead quiet. Then, faintly, I caught it. Something low and musical underneath, barely audible, like a music box in another room. I boosted the volume. It got clearer. A slow, lullaby-like tune, delicate and old-fashioned. I didn't recognize it. So I uploaded a clip to a music recognition site. No hits, not even close. But that only made me more curious. I dug around online, looking for anything about obscure nursery songs. And eventually on some deep-form thread about lost American folk tunes, I found a match. The melody was noted as Unpublished, Untitled Lullaby, 1979. FBI Evidence Archive. I froze. The thread linked to a grainy scan of a report, heavily redacted. The song had been part of an audio cassette recovered during an unsolved child abduction case from the late 70s. The victim, a girl named Lisa M., was never found. The cassette had been left on her bed. The only thing on it was that lullaby. No vocals, just the tune. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, I called the non-emergency line for the local precinct. I explained what had been happening. The dispatcher seemed polite but skeptical. She said someone would get back to me. No one did. Thursday came again. I let it ring, then opened the recorder. Same silence. Same soft music. Just a bit louder now. Almost as if it knew I was listening harder. I didn't tell anyone. Not yet. Not until I could figure out what was really going on. Instead, I bought an old tape player off eBay. The exact make and model listed in the evidence scan. I rigged it to record the next call through a line-in. Week 10, it worked. I burned the recording onto a blank cassette. Then, just to see what would happen, I left the tape in my mailbox. That's what the original case report had mentioned. The cassette had been mailed to the family anonymously. The next morning, the tape was gone. Nothing else. No note. No sign of tampering. Just gone. Thursday night, no call. Friday morning, I found something else. An envelope under my doormat. Inside, a photo. Black and white. Blurry, like a still from old CCTV footage. It showed a girl in pajamas, standing alone at a payphone. Her face turned slightly, as if hearing something behind her. Scrawled on the back, "Do you hear her now?" I'm not sure how much of what followed I imagined. The week after, I started dreaming about a melody. Always the same one. It would start faint, then swell, until I woke up gasping. My phone would buzz around the same time every night. No calls, no messages. Just phantom vibrations. I stopped answering the door. I unplugged my landline. Switched phones. Nothing changed. I finally talked to my neighbor, Mrs. Kellerman. She's lived on this block since the 60s. I asked if she knew anything about a girl named Lisa. Her face went still. She said, "That house, isn't it your house? It used to belong to a couple who lost their daughters. She vanished walking home from school." No one had lived there long since. I asked if she remembered what year. She nodded slowly. 1979. I went home and sat on the floor. The lullaby started playing on its own. Not from the phone, from somewhere inside the walls. No speaker, no device. Just that tune. Soft and slow, and unmistakably familiar.